Greetings and welcome to Chant a Psalm a Day. We are here today again with chanting another psalm. I'm thankful for this day because this is the day that righteousness has made. So let us be righteous. Let us be good to each other. Let us be loving, kind, merciful, generous, compassionate, loving, respectful, forgiving of each other. Let's be all of those things because that is what righteousness is. It is about love and kindness and mercy. So we're going to chant the psalm today, and we celebrated, well, the world celebrated June 19th, Juneteenth, yesterday. Today's psalm is 19. What a coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence, right? Well, the psalm today is 19. So usually I'm on the bay doing my psalm. It's rainy today out here on the island. It's very rainy. It's been rainy. We got some rain. You can see how wet my deck is. And we got some rain, but the sun is coming up. It's going to be a beautiful day in the Virgin Islands on the island of St. John. So we're thankful that we can be in a beautiful place. The most beautiful place in the world, actually, is the Virgin Islands. I'm telling y'all. The most beautiful place. Look at my videos, look at my channel, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and you'll see the water, the sound of the water, the clear blue crystal water that's on the top of the sand. You can see your feet underneath. I mean, it's beautiful. So check out this video. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel because you're going to see some really cool beach videos this summer. Okay? So let's get to the psalm today. It's titled, "The Law of Righteousness is Perfect." Now, it says the law of the Lord. However, we translate that into righteousness because that's what the Lord is, right? Righteousness. That's what God, Lord, Jesus, Jehovah, Selassie the First, the Almighty, all of it is about righteousness. So we look at that, and I need to bring my mosquito coil because mosquitoes are out here. Okay, here we go. The law of righteousness is perfect. Okay, it's perfect. We have somebody. Okay, somebody wants me to discover the channel. So in this translation of Psalm 19, it's very interesting that the psalm today is 19, and yesterday was June 19th. That is the celebration of Juneteenth. And Juneteenth is interesting because it's kind of embarrassing, actually, especially for the state of Texas. It's really embarrassing for the state of Texas because Texas was one of the states that did not tell the enslaved Africans that they were free. They didn't. So when we look at the ending of slavery, 1865 was when it ended, right? The 13th Amendment to the Constitution about abolition of slavery, 1865. And the question is, was Juneteenth the end of slavery? Well, the holiday commemorates the ending of slavery by marking the day that the Union troops went to Galveston. Now, if you look at what's happening now in Galveston, there's a storm coming, Alberto, okay? Now, the things you do has to come back around, and the nations will be judged. The nations will be judged in terms of what they've done to people, okay? You cannot get away with that. That's just something that even when I'm gone off this earth, you're still not going to get away with it. It's There's going to be that. So the Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas. And you know, Texas wanted to secede from the nation, from the United States. So they were not going to free their enslaved Africans, whether Lincoln wrote a 10-page memo or not. They weren't going to do that. So because of that, that became the nexus for the war, the Civil War. So we see that Juneteenth did not actually mark the unequivocal end of slavery. Even in Texas, June 19th came to be a day of shared commemoration across the United States. So, according, it didn't officially end on June 19, 1865, but they were told that. So, the day of Juneteenth, it commemorates the end of enslavement in the United States because Texas was the last state to let the people go. So Juneteenth recognizes the accomplishments of enslaved African Americans and their many contributions to the nation. So the official end of slavery was June 19, 1865, when the Emancipation Proclamation was read to enslaved blacks in Galveston, Texas. So June 19, 1865 was when slavery ended for the African Americans. So in 1865, January 31st, 1865, it was passed by Congress and it was ratified on December 6th, 1865. So June 19th was when they were told, 2 years later, that they were actually free. So when we look at the Psalm today, Psalm 19, for June 19th, it's titled, "The Law of Righteousness is Perfect." And it's interesting because we see how the law of man enslaves, the law of man oppresses, the law of man denies equality. So when we look at this psalm today, it's very telling because it's about the law of righteousness being perfect. And in that perfection of the law of righteousness, we have no hate, we have no colonial, imperialistic control or dictatorship of governments. We are free to be world citizens, right? So the law of righteousness is perfect. And this Psalm 19, it has about 14 verses. It's not that long. It's about 14 verses. So it's talking about the law of righteousness. And in the first verse, it speaks of the heavens are declaring the glory of righteousness. And if you look at the heaven, look at the clouds up there. I'm going to show you all. Okay? The heavens declare the glory of righteousness, and the sky above proclaims righteous handiwork. Okay? Because it may be a she, it may be a he. We cannot discriminate against genders when it comes to the scriptures. That's what the translators of the scriptures did. They had an agenda, and their agenda was to dominate women, dominate children, and dominate the racial dynamics. So in verse 1, the heavens are declaring the glory of righteousness, and the sky above is proclaiming righteousness's handiwork. So verse 2, day to day pours out words, and night to night reveals knowledge. Verse 3, there is no speech, there are no words whose voice is not heard. So when you burp, you better back it up with a word because you're not an animal. You speak words, okay? Open your mouth and speak words because there is no words whose voice is not heard. Okay. Verse 4, voices goes out throughout all the earth. There's voices are going out. There's a vibrations, voice, word, sound, power. That vibration of words are going out throughout the earth. And words are going to the end of the world. And in these words, the righteousness has set a tent for the sun. Now remember, the word, it was in the beginning, right? And the word became flesh and manifested on the earth. And this word, when it became flesh, was crucified. It was like, bang, we don't want these, we don't want this, you know. What are you talking about? Goodness and mercy and love and righteousness? We don't want that. So the world refused it and they crucified this word. Okay, that's why it's written, you got to purify the word in the fire 7 times before you open your mouth. Okay, so in verse 5, it talks about this tent for the sun. And what's coming out of this tent is a bridegroom leaving the chamber. So the bridegroom is coming out of this tent. And as a strong man, runs the course of the journey with joy. So it's with joy that the course is going to be accomplished. And a strong man, it's comparing to a strong individual that's running a course with joy. Okay, you're not running the course with anxiety and depression, you're running it with joy. Now, the rise is from the end of the heavens. I don't use the word good morning. I don't use the word grand rising. We're not rising the sin in a grand way. We're going to rise, period. Blessed rise, you're going to rise, right? People talk about Jesus resurrected and he rose, right? He descended and then he rose. So that's the focus, right? Focus on what's above and rise above. That's about purifying the word in the fire 7 times. That's how you do it. Okay? So from the rise, from the end of the heavens and the circuit to the end, there is nothing hidden from the heat. Okay? Nothing hidden. In verse 7 now, it talks about the law of righteousness is perfect. Okay? The law of Jah is perfect. The law of God, Lord Jesus, the law of Jehovah Jireh, the law of righteousness, the law of goodness and mercy, the law of Haile Selassie the first, Rastafari. That, all of it, Buddha, Allah, all of it is perfect. It's a law of perfection. Okay? In the Buddhist faith, they talk about karma. What you do, it comes back. That's just a law of righteousness, right? It's a law of righteousness. You do good to others, it's going to come back to you, right? You do bad, it's going to come back. When you hurt people, you're going to get hurt. Eventually, it's going to come back. So why not stick on the side of righteousness so that will come back to you? So, verse 7 is about the law of righteousness is perfect, reviving I life. Because what does righteousness do? It revives you. It's like, oh goodness, that's so righteous. That's so good and pure and sacred. I love it. Thank you. You know, that is what that reviving of your life does. That righteousness revives your life. And the testimony of righteousness is sure. So when somebody testifies about what righteousness has happened in their life, that is a sure testimony. Making wise the simple. So when the simple folks listen to a testimony of righteousness, it's going to make them wise. Like, wait a minute, I'm going to try to do that now. I'm going to try to err on the side of kindness. I'm going to be honest in my relationships. I'm going to be about love and kind, not just about financial gain. I want to be about gaining righteousness and gaining love and kindness and compassion. I want to gain those attributes. So when we look at that reviving of the life and the testimony of the righteous that's sure, it makes the simple to be wise. It gives them that. And the precepts of righteousness are righteous, rejoicing the heart, right? The commandment of righteousness is pure, enlightening the eyes. So we see that we have that rejoicing inside of our hearts. And we see that the laws of righteousness are right. The commandment of righteousness is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fare of righteousness is clean. You are afraid of doing wrong. You are afraid of wrongness so much to the point of everything you do is about righteousness, goodness, mercy, and love. So you fear that higher power. You fear what's above because you're like, oh, let me do good. Let me think good. Oh, let me feel goodness in my heart because guess what? It's the creator who put that in there knows the heart. Okay, people talk about science and the body and the mind and the soul was created through scientific, means. Yes, you can believe all of that, but I know that there is a higher power that has the answers to all creation, and that's what we seek. We seek that righteousness, we seek that goodness and that mercy and that compassion that reveals to I who I am, right? And what our purpose is. And our purpose is for goodness, is for mercy, is to do good, to volunteer. Go help a school. Go give yourself and your time and your energy to some place where they're less fortunate than you are. Get out of your white tower and come on into the community and do something positive. So in verse 9, there is an endurance of righteousness that's for all time. And the rules of righteousness are true, and they're righteous altogether. So the rules are simple. Do good, and good will come to you, right? Sow seeds of goodness, and you will reap a harvest of love, right? Yes. When relationships end, when people have jumped the ship and you're the only one sailing the ship, keep on sailing. They left and they jumped the ship for a reason, right? They jumped the ship for a reason. So be thankful that now your ship doesn't have people in it that is going to make it sink to the bottom of the ocean, but that it's going to keep it floating because now it's not top heavy anymore, right? It's not weighted down by people who don't want to work as a team. So when you look at relationships, it's a ship. And if you're on that ship by yourself, you need to learn to love yourself, value yourself, have self-worth, and you'll be sailing that ship to your destination safely. So keep knowing that the rules of righteousness are true and they're unrighteous altogether. Okay? And verse 10 now talks about more to be desired is righteousness than gold. Remember, I just talked about financial gain, right? Being in a relationship for financial gain. Well, verse 10 talks about that because righteousness is to be desired more than financial gain, more than gold, more than $10 million of gold, sweeter than honey and drippings of the honeycomb. So what would you want more? Would you want righteousness, happiness, and love, or would you want $50 million and be miserable? You know what I'm talking about? And have people taken from you and using you, and you know what I mean? So get on the ship of your destiny, of what is righteous and what is good and what is pure and what is compassionate, and that is love of the Most High, that is righteousness. So in verse 11, it talks about, moreover, through righteousness, right? I is warned. In keeping righteousness, there is a great reward. So when you are standing firm, I don't like to use the word understanding. We don't want to be under a stand. We want to be over the standing firm, not with a humpback. We want to stand upright. We're humans. We walk on two legs. So we have to stand upright. We look like the letter I. Okay? So in verse 12 now is a question. It's a question. Who? Who can discern their errors? So who can tell when they did something wrong? Who can tell that they've made errors? Okay. I apologized the other day to my children for not being present in their life the way I was supposed to, seeing the results of their lives today. I look at it as I was responsible, and I apologize. I apologize to, someone that I was with. So it's always important to discern your errors, to look at where you fell short, because that's the only way you're going to be able to grow positively and release negativity. Okay? So that you won't snap off on someone based on the fact that you haven't, grown. You haven't looked at your own errors, but you're constantly pointing the finger at someone else. How in the world can you grow and discern your own errors if you are always looking at other people's errors? Won't be able to discern your own. So the question in verse 12 is, who can discern his errors? Declare I innocent from hidden faults. So this is important, because it's talking about hidden faults, faults that we may not know we have, right? Faults that we may not know we have. I may have faults that I don't even know. I may be doing something that may hurt someone's feelings because I'm talking in a passionate way instead of listening, That's an example. So I am declaring innocency from hidden faults. And then in verse 13, keep away I from presumptuous wrongness or sin. Okay, you know what presumptuous means. So verse 13 is talking about keeping I away from presumptuous sins and letting those presumptuous sins not have dominion over my life. Okay? That's an exclamation mark after verse 13. I think I'm going to pick that verse today to do my picture and to extend that. Who can discern his errors? Declare I innocent from hidden faults. Keep I away from presumptuous sins, and let presumptuous sins not have dominion over I. Then I shall be blameless, right? And innocent of great transgression. So verse 12 and 13 is about looking at yourself, trying to look at your own errors, trying to know that the hidden faults you have that you may not know that's there is going to be declared innocent, because you have not allowed presumptuous sins to have dominion over your life. So as we wrap up the psalm, verse 14, it speaks, let the words of I mouth and the meditation of I heart be acceptable in righteousness' sight. O righteousness, I rock and I redeemer. Selah and Selah again. Here in Psalm number 19 for Juneteenth. Interesting that the Psalm today is 19. I have a sheet from the Nyabinghi Tabernacle, that has an outline of all the Psalms for each day. And today, June 20th, is Psalm 19, where we looked at yesterday, Juneteenth. So it's interesting to me how that happened. Let's look at our quickly our word today. Let's see. Let's look at our word today and see what that is. Our word today is joy. Oh my goodness, joy. Joy is the foundation of my happy, fulfilling life. I love that. Joy is the word today, supported from John 17, verse 13. So, joy. Joy. So it speaks. Joy is always mine. It's interesting. I had a teacup that said joy, and it fell when I was at the beach yesterday. Yeah, it fell and broke into three big pieces. So I thought my joy was gone, but it's not. It showed me that even though material things may break, things that are physical, things that may go away, relationships may break, you still have you. You still are you still are a full person. So it doesn't go away. Joy is always mine. Joy is a divine gift, part of a righteous identity, a bless I use to create I and I life. Joy colors every aspect of living. Joy is in the positivity with where I meet adversity, the compassion I feel for those I care about, and the fullness that informs I and I health and well-being. More than mere happiness, what can come and go, joy is deeper and ever renewing. So you're always renewing the joy, okay? Joy is the knowledge I am one with righteousness and can live in perfect trust. I am never alone. So relationships may end, people may pass away. You may be alone, but you're never alone, no matter the state of the world or your life. I create I and I life through the power of I and I thoughts and feelings. When I live rooted in and aware of I and I joy becomes part of everything I am and do. Joy is in my every word and action. I speak these things in the world so that they may have my joy made complete in themselves. So this is from John 17, verse 13. When Jesus spoke about these things in the world, and speaking these things in the world was so that people in the world may have joy and may have made that joy complete in themselves. So it always starts with the person themselves. It starts with you. Okay? That joy starts with you. And people can speak these things in the world so that they may have the joy of Jesus or God or Lord, or, the joy of righteousness. And that's going to be made complete in themselves. It has to be made complete in yourself before it can go out into the world. Does that make sense? Yes. So we have to have that joy. That's why you see some people, they present themselves to the world and they're always mean. They have this mean spirit about themselves. They barely speak. They just angry all the time. That type of person. Well, and then they call Jesus, but they're totally opposite of that, because according to John 17, Jesus spoke these things in the world so that the world may have joy and make this joy complete in themselves. But people are not joyful because they're stressed out with the world and what's going on in the world. And we need to remember we're not of this world. This world is fading away. We're not of it. So try to separate yourself from this world in terms of being attached to it. It's fading away. We have to attach ourselves to what is righteous, what is good, compassion, love, and mercy, and redeeming, revolutionary love, revolutionary righteousness, you know? Because when what the world celebrates, I don't celebrate, they celebrated June 19th. That's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing that the state of Texas could withhold this knowledge from the people about their own freedom. So imagine what else is being withheld about our freedoms that we don't know. You know what I'm talking about? So if you could lie like that, okay, imagine what else you could do. Like I lied to the handyman at my grandmother's guest house asking me if I threw poop in the garbage bin. I was like, no, but yes, I did. Because I don't have to answer to you. Who are you? You are a handyman. You work for the sewer family, dude. What are you talking about? You need to tell me ask me how I'm doing. You work for the sewer family. You don't own the Tamarind Inn. Come on, get off of your horse and humble yourself, white man. So it's important that we realize that the world that we're dealing with is not about love and kindness and compassion. They're about taking over. They're about, power and greed and money. That's what they're about. They're probably paying my family estate $2,000 a month for leasing that guest house. They don't own it. You don't own it. So stop it. And you're not paying what the market value is on a guest house anyway. So you might as well just zip your lip up, dude. I don't hate people, but I'm going to tell you straight out that you are not my master. I am not your slave, and you do not own me. I actually own you. Selah and Selah again to that. So you can go on about your way, dude. Is my phone, my other phone, let me see. So that is a psalm today. Let's look at what our verse is. Yeah, let's look at what the verse is today. And the verse today is coming from up. We just talked about this. Hallelujah. The verse is coming from the book of Mark, chapter 8, verse 36. Didn't I just talk about this? What good it is for someone to gain the whole world and forfeit their life? That's a question. What good is it for someone to gain the world, the whole world, yet forfeit their life? This is from Mark chapter 8, verse 36. I just talked about this. That we are in this world, but we are not of this world now, folks. Stop talking about we when you're talking about the world and America and this and that. You see Russia and what's his name? Kim Jong-un. They're coming together to team up. They're coming together to team up now. So everybody, out there, you better be ready. You better be ready because it's coming. People talk about America is falling, and people are just here picking up the pieces of it. It's like a broken relationship that broke up, right? And the person is still picking up the pieces to try to make it work. Ain't gonna work, okay? Because once that trust is gone, it's gone. And America, I don't trust you. You have you have is that the box with the things in it? Yeah. This is how you found the box with the stuff in it, with the utensils. Anyway, I gotta get to the beach. So don't Don't gain this whole world and lose your life. And that's what I just talked about. The psalm today is about the law of righteousness is perfect, right? And the verse today from Mark chapter 8, verse 36, talking about what good is it for someone to gain the full world, yet their life is forfeited. What good is it? Read the book of Mark chapter 8. Read the book of Mark chapter 8. Yep, read the book of Mark chapter 8. Here ends the psalm for today. We are I am thankful for the psalm because it gives us a good way to start our day. A good way. A good way to start our day. Okay? Perfect day. Have a blessed day, everyone. Go chant a psalm a day.